Hello everyone, my name is Hadi and I'm gonna continue the topics of simplifying the radical expression by rationalizing the denominator. In the previous video, I told you how we can rationalize the denominator of the radical expression when we have only one terms in the denominator. Just quickly repeat it. Let's say if we have 3 minus radical 5 over radical 2. For this one is easily we multiply both numerator and denominator by whatever is the denominator. In this case, radical 2 times radical 2 is going to be 2, and for the top 3 times radical 2 is going to be 3 radical 2, and minus radical 5 times plus radical 2 is going to be minus radical 10 over 2. As you see, we eliminated the radical from denominator by multiplying both numerator and denominator by the denominator of the fraction. This one works only when we have one terms in the denominator. Now, what if we have two terms in the denominator? Look at this example. Look at this example. Oh, sorry. Radical 3 over radical 2 minus radical 5. Radical 2 minus radical 5. As you see, in this fraction, we have two terms in the denominator. Okay? By this one, if I multiply both numerator and denominator by the denominator, same as we used to do with one terms. If I multiply by radical 2 minus radical 5 over radical 2 minus radical 5. If I multiply both numerator and denominator, same as when we have one terms. This one is not gonna work. It's not eliminate the radical from denominator. Why? Because if I multiply these two terms to each other, radical 2 minus radical 5 multiplied by radical 2 minus radical 5. In this case, if I expand and simplify this one, it's going to be radical 2 times radical 2, radical 2 times radical 2, which is going to be 2. Then radical 2 times radical 5, it's going to be positive times negative is going to be negative. Radical 2 times radical 5 is going to be radical 10. And then the next one, negative radical 5 multiplied by this one. Negative radical 5 times radical 2 is going to be negative radical 10. And then radical 5, negative radical 5 times negative radical 5 is going to be positive 5. And when we simplify this one, is going to be 2 minus radical 10 minus radical 10 is minus 2 radical 10 plus 5. As you see, when we are multiplying the denominator, this radical remain in the denominator. So this method, multiplying the numerator of the fraction, multiplying both numerator and denominator by the denominator of the fraction, is not gonna work. Okay? It's work only when we have one term in the denominator. That I explained in the previous video. Now, what we should do for this one? What's the method for this one? Let me erase this part. So, for doing this one, we use this equation. Do you remember x minus y multiplied by x plus y? Do you remember this equation? X minus y multiplied by x plus y. Sorry. What's the result? Is x squared minus y squared. We call it difference of perfect square. X minus y multiplied by x plus y is x squared minus y squared. We use these rules to rationalize the denominator of this fraction. How? multiply both numerator and denominator of this fraction. Radical 3 over radical 2 minus radical 5. Multiply both numerator and denominator by opposite sign of this middle term. This one is radical 2 minus radical 5. We make it radical 2 plus radical 5. Whatever is this sign, we use the opposite sign because of this rule. So numerator should be the same thing. Now, when we multiply this one, so it's going to be radical 3 multiplied by radical 2 plus radical 5. And what about the denominator? Radical 2 minus radical 5 multiplied by radical 2 plus radical 5. Using this rule is going to be radical 2 square minus radical 5 square. Okay, this rule. X square minus y square. Radical 2 square minus radical 5 square. Now, if we simplify the top, radical 3 times radical 2 is going to be radical 6, and positive times positive is positive. Radical 3 times radical 5 is going to be radical 15. What about the denominator? Radical 2 square is going to be 2 minus radical 5 square is going to be minus 5. Now, for this one is radical 6 plus radical 15 over 2 minus 5 is minus 3. In this case, the only thing that we can do is to simplify it. We never keep the negative sign on the denominator of the fraction. We should move the negative sign to the numerator or in the front of fraction line. Because both of them are positive, I put this negative in the front of this fraction line. So we can write it as negative radical 6 plus radical 15 over 3. I just move this negative from here to the front of the fraction line, and this one gonna be the final answer. Okay, that's fine. That's for this video, and I hope that you enjoy this video. Bye, see you in the next video.